Hello, my name is Dr. Greg Smith, and today first I'm going to tell you about the surprising plate patterns that explain why many 90-year-olds stay energetic, sharp, and largely disease-free. Modern diets loaded with ultra-processed foods and sugar are shortening healthy lifespans. That's the problem. The solution is not a magic pill but daily, simple food choices repeated for decades. Plant-forward meals, legumes, whole grains, fermented foods, small portions of fish or lean meat, olive oil, nuts, and tea. In the next few minutes, first I'll lay out the exact breakfast, lunch, snack, and dinner habits common among nonagenarians, plus 2 tiny cooking swaps that cut inflammation and boost resilience. You'll see how a spoonful of beans at breakfast, a leafy salad at lunch, a handful of nuts in the afternoon, and a modest fish dinner add up to real biological benefits. First, I'll give you a 1-week starter plan you can use tomorrow, quick recipes under 5 minutes, and practical shopping tips, so this is easy and affordable. Keep watching to learn the daily menu and habits that could add healthy years to your life. Stay tuned, and let's get started. 1. Common dietary patterns in blue zones. Hello, my name is Dr. Greg Smith, and today first I'm going to tell you about how people in the world's longest-lived communities habitually eat. In those regions, diets are overwhelmingly plant-forward. Legumes, whole grains, seasonal vegetables, and nuts form the foundation of daily meals. This pattern is simple on the surface, but remarkably consistent across very different places. The problem many face now is a diet dominated by processed foods, added sugars, and oversized portions that promote chronic disease. The solution observed in longevity hotspots is almost the opposite: food that is minimally processed, nutrient-dense, and eaten in sensible amounts. Meals center on beans and vegetables, not trays of meat, and calories come from whole foods rather than packaged snacks. Legumes are a cornerstone of every blue zone diet. Think of chickpeas and lentils in soups and stews, black beans and kidney beans in hearty dishes, and fava beans or broad beans used where they grow locally. Whole grains, barley, brown rice, corn, and other local cereals are paired with those legumes to make complete, sustaining meals. Vegetables are abundant and often include bitter, wild greens that provide vitamins and phytochemicals. In some areas, the local diet features sweet potatoes as a primary starch. Nuts appear regularly as small, nutrient-dense snacks. Healthy fats differ by region. Olive oil is prominent in Mediterranean areas, while soy-based foods and fish appear more often in parts of East Asia. Animal products still exist, but are used sparingly. Meat tends to be a condiment rather than a daily centerpiece, served in small portions on special occasions or as flavoring for a vegetable-rich dish. Dairy is usually modest and often comes from goats or sheep in Mediterranean communities. Fermented foods, miso, fermented soy, pickled vegetables, or traditional cheeses show up in many menus and contribute beneficial microbes and preserved nutrients. Moderation is reinforced by cultural habits. For example, some communities practice mindful portion limits or stop eating before they feel completely full. Meals are commonly slow, social events rather than grab-and-go transactions. Practical integration is straightforward and adaptable. Start by building most plates around beans, vegetables, and whole grains. Add a small serving of nuts or fruit each day. Replace 1 or 2 weekly meat meals with legume-based dishes. Use olive oil for cooking and dressings where appropriate. Include fermented foods like yogurt, miso, or sauerkraut if they suit you. Share meals with others when possible, and slow down to eat more mindfully. If you want to experiment safely, try a week of blue zone-style meals and see how you feel, and check with a healthcare professional before making major dietary changes. Ready to give it a try? Small, consistent shifts toward these patterns can make a meaningful difference. 2. Importance of plant-based protein for muscle. Hello, my name is Dr. Greg Smith, and today first I'm going to tell you about how choosing the right plant-based proteins can protect and rebuild muscle as we age. Muscle tissue becomes harder to maintain with advancing years because older bodies are less responsive to the normal stimulatory effect of dietary protein on muscle protein synthesis. The consequence is reduced strength, slower recovery, and higher risk of loss of independence. This problem is common, but it is modifiable through diet and activity. Plant proteins can be an excellent solution when quality, amount, and timing are addressed, and when they are paired with resistance exercise. Whole food sources such as lentils, chickpeas, black beans, edamame, tofu, and tempeh provide not only protein but also fiber, micronutrients, and bioactive compounds that support overall health. Foods like quinoa and buckwheat are notable because they include a broader range of essential amino acids and modern plant protein isolates. Pea, soy, and mixed blends make it easier to reach protein targets without excess calories. Protein quality matters. Muscle building depends on essential amino acids, especially leucine, which acts as a metabolic trigger for muscle protein synthesis. Many single plant foods have lower leucine density than animal proteins, so older adults often need to be more intentional. Combine complementary plant proteins, for example, beans with rice or whole grain bread, or choose soy or pea-based products that have higher essential amino acid content. Soy scores highly on established protein quality measures and often performs similarly to animal protein in stimulating muscle repair when consumed in adequate amounts. Digestibility improves with processing too. Fermented soy, tempeh, and protein isolates are easier to digest and permit higher usable protein per serving. Timing also counts. Distributing protein across meals and including a protein-rich option at breakfast, lunch, and dinner supports ongoing muscle turnover. Resistance training amplifies all of these dietary benefits. Practical integration is straightforward. Breakfast might be a bowl of oats made with fortified soy milk, a scoop of pea protein, and a handful of nuts. Lunch could be a quinoa salad with edamame and roasted vegetables. Snacks like hummus with whole grain crackers or roasted chickpeas boost midday intake. Dinner ideas include tempeh stir-fries, lentil shepherd's pie, or seitan skewers for those who tolerate wheat gluten. Simple culinary tricks: blending cooked lentils into sauces, layering nut butter into smoothies, or adding a plant protein powder to soups and porridges. Raise protein without much extra effort. For people who follow strictly vegan diets, combining legumes, grains, nuts, and seeds across the day reliably supplies all essential amino acids. If you're over 50 or noticing loss of strength, start by assessing where your protein comes from and make one targeted swap this week. Add a soy, pea, or mixed plant protein source to one meal daily and pair it with a short resistance routine like bodyweight exercises or bands. Talk with a registered dietitian or your clinician to personalize targets and check for interactions with medical conditions. Take that small step now. Consistent, practical changes build stronger muscles and more resilient independence over time. 3. Fermented foods and gut microbiome health. Hello, my name is Dr. Greg Smith, and today first I'm going to tell you about the role of live culture foods in supporting your gut microbiome and why that matters for healthy aging. Many older adults face a common problem. Diet patterns, medications, and lower dietary fiber can shrink microbial diversity in the gut, which is linked to chronic inflammation, reduced nutrient absorption, and slower recovery from illness. That loss of microbial variety is not inevitable, though, and practical dietary choices can help rebuild a healthier ecosystem inside the digestive tract. One effective solution is to make fermented foods a regular part of the plate. These foods bring live bacteria and yeasts, plus a suite of enzymes and metabolites created during fermentation. Yogurt and kefir, for example, typically contain lactobacillus and streptococcus species that aid lactose digestion and can make dairy easier to tolerate. Sauerkraut and kimchi are rich in lactic acid bacteria, such as Lactobacillus plantarum, which can contribute to flavor, preservation, and interactions with resident microbes. Natto, a fermented soybean product, contains Bacillus subtilis strains that produce menaquinones, forms of vitamin K2, and miso or tempeh introduce fungal and bacterial cultures from Aspergillus and Rhizopus species that transform proteins and phytates into more digestible forms. Details matter when you integrate these foods into daily life. Start small. A few spoonfuls of sauerkraut or a half cup of live culture yogurt can be enough to introduce variety without causing bloating. Combine fermented items with fiber-rich foods, whole grains, legumes, vegetables, because the resident microbiota feed on that fiber and convert it into short-chain fatty acids that support gut barrier function and immune signaling. Be mindful of sodium in some pickled or fermented products. Rinse sauerkraut if the salt content is high, or choose low-sodium versions. Also note medication interactions. Natto is high in vitamin K2, so anyone on anticoagulants should consult their physician before adding it regularly. People with weakened immune systems should prefer properly prepared, pasteurized, or commercially produced fermented foods rather than unregulated home ferments. Practical integration makes this sustainable. Try plain yogurt with a handful of berries at breakfast, a small glass of kefir as a mid-morning snack, or a tablespoon of sauerkraut or kimchi atop a salad or bowl at lunch. Swap a portion of meat for tempeh or add miso to a light broth in the evening. Vary the types across the week to expose your gut to different microbial strains and fermentation metabolites. If you are taking antibiotics, discuss timing with your clinician, spacing fermented food consumption from antibiotic dosing, and focusing on post-course recovery can be helpful. If you want a simple action step, add one fermented item to your meals every day this week and observe how you feel. Talk with your healthcare provider about any medication concerns, and consider a dietitian if you want a tailored plan that balances protein, calcium, and sodium needs while boosting microbial diversity. Small, consistent choices can shift the gut environment toward resilience, and that matters for vitality as we age. 4. Healthy fats, olive oil, and nuts benefits. Hello, my name is Dr. Greg Smith, and today first I'm going to tell you about how 2 everyday pantry items can quietly protect the heart and sharpen the mind as we age. Many older adults struggle with low-grade inflammation, rising cholesterol, and fluctuating appetite. Those problems aren't inevitable, though. A simple dietary shift, favoring unsaturated fats from olive oil and a variety of nuts instead of processed fats and excess saturated fats, addresses these risks directly and tastes good too. Start with olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil is rich in monounsaturated fats and plant polyphenol that act as antioxidants. These compounds help reduce oxidative stress on blood vessels and improve endothelial function, which supports healthy blood pressure and circulation. Short sentence. Using it instead of butter or margarine lowers the amount of saturated fat on the plate while delivering flavorful fat that improves absorption of fat-soluble nutrients like vitamin K and carotenoids. Nuts offer complementary benefits. They supply unsaturated fats, fiber, plant protein, minerals such as magnesium and potassium, and vitamin E, all in a compact, grab-and-go package. Walnuts are a good plant source of alpha-linolenic acid, a type of omega-3 that supports cardiovascular health. Almonds are notable for vitamin E and for helping with satiety. Pistachios and cashews add variety and micronutrients that round out a daily mix. Short sentence. Regular consumption of a small portion of mixed nuts has been associated with improved lipid profiles and better appetite control, without automatic weight gain when portions are sensible. Mechanisms are straightforward and practical. Monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats help replace harmful saturated fats, which lowers LDL-type cholesterol and reduces inflammation signals. Antioxidant polyphenol in extra virgin olive oil dampen inflammatory pathways and protect LDL from oxidative damage. Nuts further contribute by slowing digestion, stabilizing blood sugar after meals, and providing plant protein that preserves muscle mass when calories are controlled. Short sentence. Together, these foods create a nutrient-dense pattern rather than a single magic bullet. Putting this into daily life is easier than it sounds. Drizzle extra virgin olive oil over roasted vegetables or use it as the base of a lemon garlic dressing. Swap butter on toast for a smear of almond or peanut butter. Toss chopped walnuts into morning oatmeal or yogurt. Keep a small container of mixed nuts in your bag for a midday snack. Short sentence. For cooking at higher temperatures, choose an olive oil labeled for mild heating or use it primarily for finishing and dressings to preserve delicate polyphenol. Buy raw or dry roasted nuts without added salt or sugar and store them in a cool, dark place or the refrigerator to prevent rancidity. If you want to test the difference, start by replacing one saturated fat source with olive oil and adding a small handful of mixed nuts to your daily routine for a short trial period. Then note changes in satiety, energy, and digestion. Consult your healthcare provider if you have allergies, take blood-thinning medications, or need tailored guidance. Try these swaps and see how such simple choices can deliver lasting benefits. Small changes, big return. 5. Role of community and social meals. Hello, my name is Dr. Greg Smith, And today, first I'm going to tell you about how daily shared meals shape the health and longevity of people in their 90s. Social connection is a powerful determinant of well-being, and eating with others addresses multiple risks at once: poor appetite, nutritional gaps, loneliness, and loss of routine. Older adults who regularly dine with family, friends, or community groups tend to consume a wider variety of foods and stay engaged with life, which supports both physical and cognitive health. Many very old adults struggle with shrinking social circles and reduced desire to cook for one. The solution often isn't a pill, but a table. Community and social meals reintroduce flavor, structure, and companionship into daily life. Shared meals increase calorie and nutrient intake through social facilitation. People naturally eat more and try different foods when others are present. They also create accountability for balanced choices. Someone who helps plan or sits down with an elder is more likely to encourage vegetables, whole grains, and protein-rich dishes than a solitary microwaved snack would provide. Practical examples show how this works. Congregate dining at senior centers or faith groups offers regular, nutritionally planned lunches that combine food with social programming and health checks. Intergenerational initiatives, like school groups visiting a care home kitchen or grandparents' potlucks, blend fresh conversation with familiar recipes, strengthening appetite and memory cues. Volunteer programs such as home-delivered meals that include a brief social visit demonstrate how a short shared lunch or chat can uncover problems early, from unaddressed dental pain to medication side effects that reduce eating. Integration into daily life can be straightforward and flexible. Encourage a weekly neighborhood supper where each household brings a dish suited to older palates: softer textures, bold herbs, and nutrient-dense ingredients. Set up a meal buddy system pairing neighbors for alternating dinners, or a simple call-and-eat video check-in for those with mobility limits. Train volunteers and family members to ask open, food-focused questions and to bring small, culturally familiar dishes that spark appetite and pride. Arrange transport to community meals, adapt seating and utensils for comfort, and involve elders in menu planning to preserve agency and tradition. Take action now. Reach out to a local senior center, start a rotating potluck, or invite an older neighbor to share a meal this week. Small, consistent social meals compound over time. More conversation, better nutrition, and a stronger sense of belonging that supports the very factors we want most for longevity. 6. Moderate calorie restriction for longevity. Hello, my name is Dr. Greg Smith, and today first I'm going to tell you about a simple, evidence-based habit that can support healthier aging: eating slightly less while keeping every bite nutrient-rich. Many age-related pathways respond to how much energy we supply the body. Modest reductions in calorie intake tend to improve markers like insulin sensitivity, blood pressure, and inflammation without causing malnutrition when done thoughtfully. This is important because excess energy intake over decades contributes to chronic disease risk and functional decline. The problem is not that older adults must starve themselves. The problem is chronic overconsumption of low-nutrient, high-calorie foods paired with loss of muscle mass and activity. The solution is a moderate, steady shift towards smaller portions and higher nutrient density, not drastic fasting or extreme dieting. Short-term experiments in humans show metabolic benefits from modest energy reduction, and longer-term animal work supports slowed aging processes. But the practical takeaway for people is to reduce excess calories while protecting lean tissue and micronutrient status. Start by changing what fills your plate. Favor vegetables, legumes, whole grains, and modest portions of lean protein. Include healthy fats like olive oil and nuts for satiety and vitamin absorption. A practical visual guide works well: a fist or two of vegetables, a palm-sized portion of protein, a cupped handful of whole grains or starchy vegetables, and a thumb-sized serving of healthy fat. Snack choices matter. Replace sugary snacks with a piece of fruit plus a small handful of nuts, or plain yogurt with berries. These swaps reduce empty calories while keeping meals satisfying. Meal timing and habits help too. Slow, mindful eating reduces unconscious overeating. Use smaller plates and pause between courses. Plan meals so energy is concentrated in nutrient-dense combinations rather than in processed foods. For example, breakfast could be plain Greek yogurt with berries and a sprinkle of chopped walnuts. Lunch might be a large salad with chickpeas, mixed greens, cherry tomatoes, and a drizzle of olive oil. Dinner could be a grilled fillet of fish, steamed greens, and a modest serving of quinoa. Keep fluids up with water and herbal teas, and avoid caloric beverages that add little nutrition. Protecting muscle is essential when reducing calories, especially for people in their later years. Incorporate adequate protein at each meal and include resistance or strength training several times a week to preserve function. Periodically monitor weight, strength, and lab values with a clinician. Blood pressure, fasting glucose, and basic metabolic panels can show beneficial changes and help avoid unintended nutrient deficiencies. If appetite is poor or weight drops too fast, back off the restriction and prioritize nutrient-dense, protein-forward meals rather than further cutting calories. Start small and consistent. Replace one high-calorie item per day or reduce portion sizes gradually. Then reassess hunger and energy. Seek personalized guidance from a healthcare professional or registered dietitian when making changes, especially if you take medications or have chronic conditions. Try a 2-week trial focused on portion control and nutrient density. Keep a simple food log and note improvements in energy, sleep, or blood tests. If you want help building a practical, safe plan that fits your lifestyle, talk to your doctor or a dietitian today and take one concrete step toward healthier aging. To wrap up, the problem is that modern diets are often inflammatory and overly processed, accelerating aging. The solution we saw is simple: a plant-forward, whole food approach with modest protein, healthy fats, fermented foods, hydration, movement, and social meals. Key points to remember: fill half your plate with vegetables and legumes. Choose whole grains. Add a handful of nuts or olive oil. Include fermented foods or a little fish. Cut back on ultra-processed snacks. Move daily, and make meals social when you can. First, no changing habits feels big, but small steps work. Start this week by swapping refined grains for whole grains once a day, adding beans to one meal, or sharing dinner with a neighbor. Try one swap tomorrow morning: a bowl of oats with fruit and nuts, and notice how you feel by the end of the day. If this video helped, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you won't miss practical follow-ups. Tell me in the comments which swap you'll try first. First, read them and use your feedback to shape future videos. Next time, first I'll show 5 simple centenarian-inspired recipes, plus a 7-day shopping list you can print and use. Thanks for watching. Take one small step today, and you'll be surprised how it adds up over months and years. See you in the next video.